Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and property taxes right now are absolutely exploding around America, forcing some homeowners to either have to sell or even file Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Unaffordability right now in America is absolutely ravaging homeowners. And why wouldn't it, with places like Elk Valley passing a 30% tax increase? Rutherford County Commission approves a 16% property tax increase. New Beaver County property tax assessment leaves some residents with sticker shock. Jackson County couple's property assessment skyrockets 775%. Jonesboro looking at a 21% property tax increase. And if you purchased prior to 2022, you may not be as lucky as society thinks that you are, especially for people on a fixed income. People on a fixed income, like Social Security or disability, have a set amount of income they make every single month, which normally doesn't go up very much, if at all. So when homeowners potentially have a 30, 40, 50% increase in property taxes, a lot of these people that are sitting in these houses on fixed income cannot afford to be homeowners anymore. Today, we're going to take a look at 5 different things as it pertains to property taxes. Number 1, we're going to take a look at what's happening right now as far as what the average property tax rate is and how much money the government is actually generating off of our taxes. Now, number 2, we're going to listen to a couple of videos about how the skyrocketing property tax liabilities are impacting homeowners. Number 3, we're going to look at the top 5 states and the bottom 5 states as far as the highest property tax assessments and rates. Number 4, I'm going to go over statistics that show homeowners right now are filing bankruptcy like crazy. Number 5, I'm going to talk about 2 solutions that typically we can do as homeowners to help reduce our property tax liabilities. Understand this, I'm not a financial advisor. Even though my bio is as a professional in real estate for 2 decades, I'm still not a financial advisor, guys. I'm just a normal person trying to navigate this extremely toxic housing market to find my family and I a home and deal of our dreams. Now, while I'm on the sidelines, don't forget this. I'm trying to increase my purchasing power to purchase a home in every single way that I can. And if you guys like my message, if you like my content, please do me a favor and like this video, shoot me a comment below. Also, if you guys can, please share the video as well. First and foremost, let's take a look at what's going on right now. We're going to read this article from Adam titled Total Property Taxes on Single Family Homes Up 4% Across US in 2022 for a total of $340 billion. Absolutely ridiculous amount of money. So a few additional stats I want to go over. Total single family taxes levied nationwide in 2022 rose twice as fast as in 2021. Average property tax amount went up 3% to $3,901, while effective rate dipped slightly. Highest effective tax rates are in New Jersey, Illinois, Connecticut, Vermont, and Nebraska. Now, to me, this is extremely surprising because my property taxes on the home that I own is around $10,000, and my property tax rate, y'all, is 3.52%, predominantly because it was a new home. If you buy a new home, usually the property taxes are higher for new homes. Now, they analyzed 87 million U.S. single-family homes, which showed $339 billion in property taxes levied in 2022. That is up 3.6% from 2021. In 2021, it was $328 billion. The increase was more than double the 1.6% growth in 2021, although smaller than the 5.4% increase in the prior year. The report also shows the average tax on single-family homes in the U.S. increased 3% in 2021 to $3,900 after rising 1% for the previous year. That was down slightly from 8.6% in 2021. So in other words, $340 billion in tax revenue was generated. The average property tax for the average American is actually $3,900. That's actually pretty high, even though mine is almost triple that. I thought the national average would actually be lower. Now, the average tax rate is 0.83%. And if you're a resident in Texas, you hear that number, you roll your eyes because everyone knows here in Texas, our property taxes are absolutely ridiculous. The thing here is this is absolutely unfair to the homeowners. It chisels into their property rights and benefits of even being a homeowner. If people can't afford to pay their taxes, y'all, the state or the county will foreclose on their house, take take their house and sell it in an auction. This is extremely unfair, especially if you're retired on a fixed income and barely squeaking by. Now, again, at the end of this video, we'll talk about things like how to protest the assessed value and how to file a homestead to reduce the actual tax rate. Now let's listen to two separate videos on how property taxes skyrocketing is impacting everyday Americans.
Residents are now reacting to property tax assessments. Some have gone up by as much as 80%. KMBC9's Dennis Evans spoke with a realtor who's receiving calls from concerned homeowners, and he's live now in Hyde Park. Dennis?
Yes, we talked a little bit about this the other day, and since then we've heard from so many people who really are not happy about the increases. We also spoke with a real estate agent today who talked about the effects that this could have on local homeowners. Now, the average increase in property assessment went up about 30% is what it was supposed to go up this year, but other people we've heard from say that their property value went up as much as 80%.
Jeez.
And that means an increase in their mortgage payment, or it could mean coming up with an extra, say, $1,000 in taxes for some property owners. The real estate agent we spoke with said there's no doubt about it, the assessments can and will cause major changes in area neighborhoods.
As a result of this, because people will be forced out of their homes. They're not going to be able to stay and afford the higher mortgage payment and the taxes. So then the question for the county to answer is who's going to buy those properties? Is it going to be an out-of-state investor that will come in and the cost of housing will go up? And then the bigger question is those people who do leave their homes and sell them, where are they going to go?
Among that group, of course, the seniors, they are the ones being hit the hardest by this. They are on fixed income, and they just simply don't have the money to be able to afford another $400 or $500 when it comes to payment, as they're on fixed income. But the good thing is everyone has the right to appeal the assessment, and there's a process that they can go through. They can go through the county, or they can also work with local real estate agents.
Now think about this. Imagine your mortgage payment going up $400 and you're on a fixed income of $2,500 a month. Y'all, we can't have this again, especially for senior citizens, anyone on a fixed income. This, quite frankly, isn't fair. You can't do this to people. By doing this, they're putting an overwhelming amount of people in a situation to where living everyday life is even more unaffordable now. Absolutely disappointing. Texas House passes $12 billion property tax relief package, setting up fight over appraisal cap with Senate. So when I read something like that, it appears that help and relief is on the way. The problem is, guys, when it comes to money, when it comes to taxes and funding, a lot of times it's just a dog and pony show, because the reality is Texas ain't done nothing about it. Take a listen.
The state. Patrick disagrees with the version passed by the House in the special session, which is supported by Governor Greg Abbott. So those two disagree. Fox 4's Stephen Dial has more from both the governor and the lieutenant governor. Stephen.
This has just been the latest episode in a Texas legislature soap opera, if you will. Dan Patrick made it clear today, saying that him and the Senate are not going to budge at all when it comes to property tax. And he says he can't negotiate with an empty house, calling House members back to Austin.
They didn't give the bird to the Texas Senate. They gave the bird to 5.7 million homeowners and said, take it or leave it.
In a press conference Tuesday, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick accused House lawmakers of abandoning Texas homeowners by not staying to negotiate property tax relief. Last week, after the special session was gavelled in, the House rejected the Senate's bill to increase the homestead exemption, passed their own version that would drive down tax rates, and left town. Governor Abbott says he supports the House plan. Patrick says the governor is wrong on this one by favoring a plan that creates bigger breaks for property-rich homeowners over what Patrick considers a more equal offering from the Senate.
If you live in $1 million house, you get a $100,000 exemption. If you live in a $100,000 house, you get a $100,000 exemption. But their plan of all compression means that the higher price house you live in, the more you get.
The tax debate has elevated the ongoing feud between the lieutenant governor and House Speaker Dade Phelan. And while Patrick has not called for Phelan to step down as Speaker, he has questioned his leadership when it comes to getting bills passed.
In many sessions, Republicans have had the luxury of blaming Democrats for their failures to pass certain pieces of legislation, but the failure to pass property tax relief rests 100% with Texas Republicans.
So y'all see what I mean? Dog and pony show. I mean, they're going back and forth, blaming each other when the reality is the homeowners are the ones that need the help. It's just so hard for me to watch all of these politics. And let me just say this thing. Our voting is so very important. Each and every one of us needs to get out and vote and try to make positive change. Now let's jump into the states with the highest and the lowest property taxes. All right, guys, so the number one best state when it comes to property taxes is actually Hawaii. That was really surprising to me. Hawaii only has an effective property tax rate of only 0.29%. Median annual property taxes paid $1,893. Absolutely shocking to me that Hawaii is the number one best state when it comes to property taxes. Number two, we have Alabama. Alabama is sitting at an effective property tax rate of 0.41%. Median annual property taxes paid only $646. If I wanted to escape property taxes, I'm going to Alabama because I pay less than $700 on average for property taxes. I can't even imagine that, you guys. Number three is actually Colorado. Really impressive. Effective property tax rate in Colorado is only 0.51%, with the median annual property taxes paid $2,017. Number four is Nevada. Nevada only has an effective property tax rate of 0.55%, with the median annual property taxes paid of $1,736. Number five is actually South Carolina, with an effective property tax rate of only 0.56%, with median annual property taxes paid of only $1,024. And honestly, guys, when I hear that, it makes me super jealous because every single house that I've ever owned has been around $10,000 in property taxes. So those states, you guys, are rocking. Now let's look at the top 5 worst states. Starting with the number 5 worst state for property taxes being Vermont. Vermont has an effective property tax rate of 1.9%, with the median annual property taxes paid of $4,500. So average homeowner in Vermont is paying a lot of money for property taxes. Number 4, we have New Hampshire with an effective property tax rate of a whopping 2.09%, with median annual property taxes paid of $6,036. Number 3 worst is Connecticut, is sitting at an effective property tax rate of 2.15%, with median annual property taxes paid of $6,100. Ton of money. Number 2, we have Illinois sitting at an effective property tax rate of 2.23%, with median annual property taxes paid of $4,744. The number 1 worst place to live as far as property taxes is New Jersey, with an effective property tax rate of 2.47%. Median annual taxes paid $8,700. That is a lot of money to be paying towards taxes. And the crazy thing is Texas isn't even in the top 5. Texas is actually number 6. But if you can pick what state you guys want to live in, you should probably avoid those 5 states, because odds are a significant amount of your money is going to be going towards your property tax bill. Now I want to take a look at the bankruptcy stats so I can show you guys that there has been a drastic increase of homeowners, not normal people, but homeowners filing bankruptcy as a result of overwhelming unaffordability. I'm taking you guys to the American Bankruptcy Institution. Now, this is as of May of this year. Bankruptcy filings, including all chapters, total 38,000. That's a 23% increase. Individual filings increased 23% as well. But really what I want to focus on, you guys, is Chapter 13 bankruptcy, and I'll break that down here in a second. Now, I've highlighted Chapter 13 bankruptcy because generally if you're a property owner or own a house, you're not going to file Chapter 7, you're going to file Chapter 13 to protect your house. Now, what I really want to show you guys is this is the only bankruptcy that is surging when we compare where we were at in 2020. You guys can see that Chapter 7, 11, and other bankruptcies is down significantly when compared to 2020. However, Chapter 13 bankruptcy, instead of being down, again, compared to 2020, is up 51.7%. That is an absolutely alarming trend because, again, what it's telling us is property homeowners right now are struggling and unaffordability is crippling them. And here's a breakdown in the difference in a Chapter 7 and a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. You may want to file a Chapter 13 instead of a Chapter 7 bankruptcy if you're behind on your mortgage payments and you're trying to save your home. Chapter 7 does not give you the opportunity to catch up on your mortgage payments and otherwise save your house. However, a Chapter 13 would be the appropriate chapter to file for that. When we see that 54% increase in Chapter 13 bankruptcies, it's safe to assume that the reason for that surge is the unaffordability specifically hitting homeowners. It's an absolute catastrophe, y'all. So the next question is if you already own a home or you plan on owning a home, what can you do to reduce your property tax bill? Now, it's important to understand how a property tax bill is generated. Essentially, you need two pieces of information. You need the assessed value and you need the tax rate. The tax rate multiplied by your assessed value equals your annual property tax bill. We got to figure out how to reduce the assessed value and how to reduce the property tax rate. Now, the way I'm going to show you guys this is by looking at how the state of Texas deals with both of those things, because I live in Texas. Now, as a property owner in Texas, I have certain things that I could take advantage of to reduce my property tax liability. Now, the first thing I could do is file a homestead exemption. Again, this is an example of Texas. Who qualifies for the Texas homestead exemption? You have to own the property as of January 1st of any year, occupy the property as your primary residence. The owner or their spouse have not claimed a residential homestead exemption on any other property. So basically, as long as it's my primary residence in Texas, I can file a homestead exemption. Filing the homestead exemption can help me with both my assessed value and my property tax rate. There are also different types of homestead exemptions. For example, if you're over 65, if you're a disabled person or a disabled veteran, you're actually able to get additional homestead breaks on your property taxes. So to anyone that owns right now, it's probably a smart idea to make sure you've properly filed your homestead. Now, one of the best ways to protest the assessed value is essentially on what I've been teaching you guys on how to find a great deal. It's almost the same way. You can take the lessons on how I've taught you how to find a great deal and apply that to protesting your assessed value. Because when you go to protest your assessed value, you want to find comparable data or sold property that has the lowest value, not the highest value, which is similar to what we want to do when we find a great deal. Here's what Texas has to say about protest, appraisal, protest, and appeals. One of your most important rights as a taxpayer is your right to protest to the appraisal review board. You may protest if you disagree with your appraisal district value or any of the appraisal district's actions concerning your property. Now, in Texas, I can protest my assessed value every single year, and the reality is it's pretty easy. It takes me about 10 minutes. Now, my experience has been when I protest, usually they give me a break, say around of $10,000 on my assessed value. Now, after you protest and you still want to keep going, you can appeal. In my experience, generally for putting the additional effort in, the county knocks off another $10,000 from your assessed value. So each stage of either protest or appeal, generally you're going to get a discount on your assessed value. Obviously, it depends on the people, it depends on the situation, and it depends on the county. But the reality is, if there are tax breaks that we can take as homeowners, we should absolutely take them. In conclusion, you guys, unaffordability is absolutely wrecking us. And if you're on the sidelines interested in purchasing, definitely make sure that you take into consideration the expense of property taxes. You're going to want to take advantage of as many programs and homesteads and protests and appeals as possible. A lot of people get overwhelmed with that, but the reality is taking those steps, at least in Texas, and from my experience, is actually pretty easy and actually empowering. Once you learn how to do it, you can actually train your friends and your family how to do the same thing. But one thing is for sure right now, if we're on the sidelines waiting for the unaffordability to get better, waiting for the prices to drop, one thing that we should absolutely be doing right now is saving as much money as possible and making as much money as possible. Now, other than that, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video, you enjoyed this breakdown. And then one more time, if you can, hit the like button. But other than that, I really hope you guys got some new value, insights, and perspective. And if you're out there investing in real estate, you know I wish you luck and I hope you win.